Hi everyone. Welcome to today's session of Process Domain Mindset. Before we start, just a quick confirmation. If you could let me know on the comments that you are able to see the screen, you are able to hear me as well. And then we will start. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on wherever you're joining from. Just a quick confirmation, please, before we start. Are you able to see the screen? Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation. Uh, Today we'll be talking about process domain. As you would already know, 41% of the exam is from the process domain, right? We are talking about new exam that was launched in 2026. We have already covered people domain, right? So 33% is already done. Now today we'll be talking about 41%, which means 74% of the mindset related things would be covered today, right? So what are we going to discuss in process domain? We will be talking about how PMI would test you on your understanding of process domain. What are the type of questions that they present? How do you answer those questions? Right? Of course, you will need to know the ways of working. How do you manage risk? How do you manage scope? How do you manage schedule? How do you manage cost? All those things are definitely important. But what we are going to discuss today is going to be a cherry on the top of everything that you study. It will help you understand what will be there in the exam and how do you prepare for it. Okay. While discussing this, we will cover the ways of working part of our PMI talent triangle. Right? PMI uses this talent triangle to say that a project professional should have talent in all these three domains of project management. One is ways of working, the way you work in the project. Other is power skill, earlier known as soft skills. Now they have renamed it to power skill to say that dealing with people, having communication, collaborating with it is not a soft thing, right? It's a powerful thing. So they have added power skills and business acumen. You should have a knowledge of how the project interacts with the environment around it, the organization, the industry. How do you deliver value? How do you ensure continuous improvement? How do you ensure that if there are any changes happening in the organization, outside the organization, you are able to deal with it? Right? That's what business acumen is. We have covered the power skill mindset part. We'll be talking about ways of working today. Right? Very clear mapping from talent triangle to your PMP exam content outline. Right? Process domain will have 10 tasks, people domain 8, and business environment domain 8. Total, there will be 26 tasks. Tasks are basically responsibilities of a project manager tested in the exam. Right? So if you want to know whether you're prepared for the exam or not, you should know whether you have covered all these 26 tasks or not. Right? No other way. There's no other way to check whether you are making progress towards your preparation or not. Right? So let us start discussing about what we are going to cover today. Right? So what is ways of working? How is it tested? Okay. So if you look at process domain questions in the exam, there will be a lot of questions that will ask you, give you a scenario, and they'll ask you, what should the project manager do first? What should the project manager do next? Basically, they are testing you whether you understand logically, not by memory, not by algorithm, not by anything else. Logically, are you able to decide what should be the next step given the scenario? Right? Scenario could be that a stakeholder is complaining that a team member is not working. Will the next step be to fire that team member? No. Right? Will the next step will be that will change something in the project? No. The next step would be that yes, I'll talk to that stakeholder and try to understand why they feel so. What is it that they have observed? Right? So I will set up a meeting with them. That would be a better choice. Right? Very logically. Absolutely not needed to memorize the processes, memorize the list of activities. You will be wasting time on that. Exam is not that. Okay. Exam is that if they have given you a scenario, right? As I said, stakeholder is complaining, management is complaining, team members are not working fine, project is not on budget, project is not on schedule. Anything could be a scenario, right? So they give you a scenario and they ask you, what will you do first? What will you do next? Right? Go ahead, read the PMBOK 8, go ahead, read any book, right? No book can give you a list of all the activities that PMI can ask you in the PMP exam. That, okay, I'll go, I'll read, I'll memorize, and then I'll go and take the exam. It is not possible. If you read PMBOK, it is helpful. If you read any other book of project management, it is helpful. Whatever you read is always helpful, right? But the point is, it does not prepare you for the exam. Exam tests you what will you do first, what will you do next, and they'll give you 4 options. Typically, sometimes they'll give you 5 and they'll ask you to select 2. If that could be a question from what 2 things you will do first, what 2 things you will do next, right? It could be a question, rare but possible, right? So they'll give you a scenario, they'll ask you what will you do first, what will you do next, and then they'll give you 4 choices, right? Now, as I said, you cannot read it anywhere. You cannot ask me that, okay, give me a list of all the activities that should happen in a particular area of project, and then I'll start answering the question, because I can tell you the processes. PMBOK has talked about the processes. Question talks about the activity, right? So you can understand the processes that, yes, first I'll plan for the scope management, then I'll create a WBS, then I'll start scope statement, WBS, whatever is to be done. You can understand the processes. There are 40 processes. Right? Exam will test you on 180 questions, 180 different activities, right? And that is why understanding processes, good. See, these are the basic things. You should not miss that at all. You should know the processes. You should know the knowledge areas. You should read PMBOK 8 if you like reading. You should go through the training, of course. But the point is that ultimately the question will be on activities, right? So it will not prepare you for that. So what do you have to do here? You have to understand the scenario. You have to read the question well, and then see the options. Okay, customer has complained that my team member is not working. One of the option is saying fire them. Can I fire the team members? No, right? They will not directly say fire them. It will not be that easy in the PMP exam, but the meaning will be that. Okay. And in order to explain what I'm talking about, I'm using simpler examples. Right? One option would be ignore the stakeholder. Right? This is what they do. You cannot do that. Right? Because these are action points that you need to take. Maybe after some understanding. Right? Typically, we don't fire, but rarely it may be possible that we are asking somebody to leave the project. Typically, you will not see in the PMP exam, but these are actions that you can take. So what you will have to do is you will have to compare with other choices given. One option would be set up a meeting with the stakeholder. Another option would be talk to the team members. You see this? Right? The problem is that customer is complaining the team members are not working. Fire and ignore was too easy. You ignored it. You said, okay, these are not correct choices. But there will be 2 choices which are very close to each other. And then you have to decide what will you do first. Right? That's what the question is. So now if I have to decide what will I do first, right, I'll just have to compare. Customer is complaining, right? So I should talk to the customer first rather than talking to the team members. Are both the action points or both the decision, whatever you're doing, is it applicable given the scenario? Yes. But will you do that? Or will you do that first? What will you do first? You will first meet with the customer, meet with the stakeholders, understand why they are saying whatever they are saying. Then you will have to verify it. And while verifying it, you can meet the team members. Right? So very logical sequence will be asked in the exam. Right? Now you get a point that yes, whenever you are studying, whenever you are going through the video, whenever you are reading the book, this is what you have to focus on. Logically, what happens? If somebody complains, I'll try to understand from them first. Right? Then I'll try to look at some documents, look at some work. What are they supposed to do? So customer is saying the team is not productive. Right? Then you discuss with them. Why are you saying they're not productive? The customer would say that we wanted 10 tasks to be done. They have done only 8 tasks. So then you will verify That yes, customer wanted 10 tasks. Did we agree with that? What was the commitment? What was the discussion? What was the agreement? So you will review some document, you will review some document, and then you will talk to the team members. Right? So if there was one more option, which would say review the documents, that would have been before meeting the team members. So ultimately, and I'm repeating this, the test or the PMP exam is a test of application of knowledge. How do you apply everything that you have learned? One of the question is, what will you do first? What will you do next? Right? Are you able to apply whatever you learn is what will be tested. They will not test you which document, which process, this, that. There could be some questions, right? 5-10%. But ultimately, it's a test of critical thinking skills. How do I know all these things? I read the exam content outline. How would you know it? Please read that exam content outline. Right? Very simple document. Just go through that. What are they saying? What will they ask? If you don't, then I've already told you. Right? So first, one type of question where they'll be asking, giving you a scenario. Then they would ask you, what should the project manager do first? What should the project manager do next? And you have to think from the project manager's perspective, compare the choices and decide which will happen first. Very simple. In saying, exam would not be simple, but in explaining this, it is very simple, right? I have to read the scenario, I have to read the question. Two options I'll be easily able to eliminate. Two options I'll be confused, and I have to decide which one should happen first, because that's what the question is asking, right? Then there would be one type of question where they will not ask you what should the project manager do first, what should the project manager do next. They would ask you what should the project manager do? What is the best thing to do? What is the best action to take in this scenario? Or what should the project manager do simply? Nothing else. Right? So that would be your second type of question. What are they testing here? They are testing your understanding of whether you can decide between two equal looking decisions. As a project manager, there will be multiple decisions that you will take. Some would help you in the cost, some would help you in the schedule, some would help you in something else. Right? So as a project manager, when you're managing project, you are required to take a lot of decisions. Right? When you are taking those decisions, you will discuss with the team, you will discuss with the customer, you will discuss with the stakeholder, but ultimately you have to take a decision. And when you take a decision, how do you decide? You decide based on what will benefit the project the most. Right? So in this way, same thing, scenario, options. Right? Here, instead of looking for sequence, you will look and compare and say which one is more beneficial for the project. What will help my project the most? Or if it is creating a problem in the project, it should create less problem. If it is positive, highest positive, any option which is more positive. If it is negative, any option which is less negative. Same thing will happen. Two options you will be able to easily eliminate. You will have to compare the two choices and decide which one is better. Same thing applies here also. If you ask me, given a scenario, what is universally the best thing to do? I will not be able to tell. And not because I don't know how to answer the questions, but because there's no way to say that. Every project is unique, every scenario is unique, every condition of the project is unique. You have to assess that condition, you have to assess that scenario, and then decide your answer. Right? So nobody can give you a list of these are the best things to do. Yes, there are some best practices, there are some few things, but those are very general. Ultimately, you will have to apply your skill and then decide which one is better, because that's what you do while you are managing the project also. Nobody gives you a pamphlet, right? That do this, do this, do this, and you just follow it. You use all your skills and then you decide. That's what you have to do here. In 1 minute, assess the scenario, read what the question is asking, decide which one is better. That's it. Right? You don't have to memorize if this is the scenario, this is what I'll do. If that is the scenario, that is I'll do. I have seen people doing that and they face a problem in the exam. It's not that they don't pass. They will pass. Right? But they are not passing with confidence. Right? They're not very sure till the last minute of the exam whether they'll pass or not. That's not what we want. We want to learn project management, and as a result, we should get certified. Right? And this will happen when we develop the skills. Okay, so this is the second type. One is what will the project manager do first or next? Other would be, what would the project manager do next? Best, what is the best thing to do? Or what should the project manager do? That's it. Right? There you have to compare. Here, you will look at sequence. Here, you will say which one is better. Okay. Any questions so far? Anyone? Anything in mind? Or if it is clear, just let me know on the comment box that yes, it's clear. We have seen such questions and probably will be able to answer it better. If you could let me know on the comment, it will be great. All right, perfect. Now moving ahead, what else is tested? Just a second. Right. They'll also test your understanding on corrective action versus preventive action, CA and PA. Right. Most of the questions in the exam would talk about a problem, right? We talked about this. There would be a scenario. Many of the questions in the scenario, they are not talking about just another scenario in the project. They are talking about a problem, right? And then they'll ask you a question. The question could be of two types. One is, how should the project manager solve this problem? Right? Another would be, how could the product manager have prevented this problem? Or how will they prevent it in future? Right? You understood the difference? One is, how would you solve the problem now? Another is, how could you have prevented the problem? That it would not have happened itself. Or how will you prevent this problem in future? Corrective action is when you correct something, you solve that. Preventive action is something that you prevent. Right? That is your preventive action. Now, where's the trap? The trap is that when they give you scenario, when they give you the question, and then when they give you the options, as I said, two options you will be able to eliminate easily. Apart from the two, or whatever the two left, one would talk about opposite. Okay. So if they're asking you corrective action, one option will talk about preventive action, one option will talk about corrective action. This is still okay because generally our tendency is to solve problem, right? We are project managers. That's what we do. And as a human being also, our tendency is to solve problem very quickly, logical, immediately, right? So if you missed reading the question, you will not make a mistake here. You'll still solve the problem. The issue would arise when they are asking you a preventive action to be taken, right? Naturally, what we do, we see the problem, we solve the problem. Right. So if you don't approach your exam in an organized way, like you read the question, you're troublesome, you somehow read the question, you went back to the scenario, you tried to understood the scenario, you saw that there's a problem, you ran back to the options, very quickly you read it, and you said, okay, this is solving the problem, and you'll select this. And this is where the mistake would happen. Question is asking you, how would you prevent this in future? Or how should the project manager prevent this in future? Or what should the project manager have done differently to prevent this from happening? Right? And there was a very clear solution given to the problem, but that was not what the question had asked. Now I'll tell you what would happen. If you keep solving such questions in the exam, you will feel that you are doing okay, you are doing good in the exam. Right? And I'm not saying that it will go bad, but it may happen. And I have seen that happening. Many people come from different training institute and different places where they have completed their training. They come back and they say that we could not clear the exam. Then I ask them, okay, what happened? They say, I don't know what happened. I was feeling good. I was answering all the questions, but the result was not that. This could be one of the reasons, right? That question was asking about preventive action. We selected corrective action and we found it. There was no other corrective action. So we thought, okay, whatever we have selected is correct. Right? So we fell into the trap that PMI had created for us and we started feeling that, okay, we have done a better job. right? So this could be one of the reasons. So when you solve the mock exams, when you do the practice exam, whether you do it from us, whether you do it from somewhere else, if you are solving questions, spend time reviewing your solution more than the time you take to take the questions, because that would help you prepare and develop the skills that are tested. Right? So try to see what was the question asking, why was it wrong, and hopefully mock exams are giving you the explanations. Right? We try to ensure we tell you why one option is better than the others. Right? Whatever mock exams that you practice, I hope you get that explanation. If not, then catch hold of that person and ask them for explanations. Right? Because those explanations are very, very important to understand where you are going wrong. So these type of mistakes, if these are happening in mock exams, perfectly fine, no issues, because you learn from it. If it happens in the exam, it could create a problem. Right? So third type is corrective versus preventive action. Right? At any point of time, if you have any question, okay, you can always put on the comment box. We'll discuss and we'll try to answer those questions. Right. So there is one query. Let me just see. Best thing to do can be different for different project managers, depending on their company culture, etc. See, in PMP exam, it will not be right, because what you're saying, I'm able to understand. There's a culture that organization takes a lot of risk, right? So best thing for you could be taking a risk in the project, while best thing for somebody else will not be that taking risk. Okay, in this organization we don't take risk, in other organization we take that risk, right? I understand that this is what you are trying to ask, but that will not happen in the PMP exam. Okay, because organization culture, or what else you have mentioned, the project managers, then the way that company works is not being given in your choice, right? So your scenario does not talk about all the variables that you talked about from the organization's perspective. Right? My organization is small, my organization is big, we are a startup, we are a multinational company, we are an established company for 100 years. We follow a lot of processes, somebody does not follow the process. Those variables are not given in the question. Right? All they have given you, or all they will give you, is a scenario from the project. Okay. And then you will have four choices to select given this scenario. So scenario would be that your project is running out of budget, right? And you have to complete the thing fast. What will you do? Will you hire more people? No. Whichever culture this is, whichever organization we are talking in, if my project is running out of budget, I will not pick up a solution where somebody will say hire somebody or go for contracting. Right? We may not do it. What can we do? We can rearrange the task. We can ask the customer to prioritize. Right? So whichever organization you are working in, whichever culture you are working in, these variables, yes, they do impact the decisions. But in exam, it will not, because it is not given, so it will not matter. What will matter is the project condition. Given the project condition, what would you do? So they'll be very careful about asking you questions around that thing. Right? They will not talk about organizations' variability or differences in different organizations. What they would do is they would give you the project scenario, project condition, and based on that, you have to answer. Almost every time, whether whichever organization you are working in, you'll always be selecting rearranging the task here or maybe prioritizing the task here. If you're out of budget, you will not spend money, whichever company you are working in. Okay, so that's how it happens in the exam. So don't be confused. No reason for confusion at all. Organization level variables will not matter in your exam questions. I hope that clarifies the answer. Do let me know if you still have a doubt. By the way, very, very good question. All right, let's move ahead. Second thing, not second thing, the fourth thing that they would test you in the exam is on change management. Okay, how do you handle changes in the project? Right, there is one type of project which is predictive. Another type of project is adaptive. Right, just the two approach. You call it traditional, you call it agile. Right, so you follow predictive approach where the scope is clear. You know how to what is to be done. You know how to do it. Adaptive is where the scope is not clear. You know that there will be a lot of changes in the project. You will have to adapt to the changing circumstances. Here, because there are less changes, so you can predict, and that's why it is called predictive. You will have to adapt. That's why it is called adaptive. Right? Now they will test your understanding on how do you handle changes in the project. Right? In business environment domain, there is a task called change management. However, scope related change, schedule related change, finance related changes would still be asked in the process domain as well. Right? So when we talk about business domain, we'll talk about much more in detail there. But here it is about the process part. Okay, that if the scope is changing, if the team requirement is changing, or anything else is changing, how do you handle that? That will also be tested. So what happens with predictive is that in predictive approach project, you have planned for everything in detail. You have the design, you have the drawing, you have the video, you have the plan, you have the WBS, big chart, large team, lot of documentation. Everything is planned in the beginning itself. You spend 2-3 months for a 12-month project on planning itself. So you plan for everything in detail. Now, if you have planned for everything in detail in the beginning itself, and then somebody asks you, hey, please change this, what will you do? One small change could impact the entire project. Right? One small change might not be easy to manage. One small change could be very costly. One small change could take a lot of time and could impact multiple other things also. So every time somebody is asking for a change in predictive approach, you will have to go through a process. You will have to go through approvals. You will have to go through analysis. Isn't it? See, if somebody is asking for a change, let's say we are constructing a building. We will be constructing a 10-floor building. Somebody is asking me a change on the 5th floor. I would need to understand, okay, if I'm changing something on the 5th floor, will it impact my 6th floor? Will it impact my 4th floor? What else will it impact? Right. So whenever I am working on predictive approach project and somebody is asking for a change, I will have to analyze for the impact of that change on all the other aspects that that particular work is connected to. Right. So any option which is talking about discussing about impact, analyzing the impact, going for approval, discussing with uh, somebody who has asked the change. These are all good choices, right? So that's what they will test. Second is adaptive. We know that we will have to adapt to the changing circumstances, which means we know that there will be a lot of changes. Now, when changes come, we should be prepared for it. Here, there is no process. Right? You may not have any approvals needed. What can happen here? If the change is related to business, right, which means requirement related changes, product owner will take care of it. And if the change is related to execution, the team will discuss, collaborate, and decide how to make that changes, right? So if anything is related to money, if anything is related to requirements, product owner will decide. If anything related to our work that we do, the team will collectively decide, not one person. Collectively, the team will decide. Why don't we go for process? Why don't we go for approval? Do we go for impact analysis? Yes, definitely we'll do that, but we'll not maintain a document for it because number of changes would be huge in adaptive project. Every week, every 2 weeks, you will see changes. If you start following the process that we follow in predictive approach, this will take a lot of time. Okay, this process is called integrated change control. You should know about that. When we discuss the business environment domain, we'll quickly discuss that flow as well. Okay, but this is important. This will definitely be tested in the exam. What else? They'll also test your understanding on validation or validated established fact versus assumption. See, as a project manager, you should solve the problem. As a project manager, you should try to prevent the problem from happening. But that does not mean that you should solve a problem that does not exist. Right? You should not be spending resources. You should not be spending time. You should not be asking your team to spend time on something which is not a problem. This is where it is tested. They'll give you a scenario and they'll tell you that customer is complaining, management is doubtful, somebody else has a concern. These are all not validated. This is not established. Right? It is still somebody's opinion or maybe their observation, or this is what they have seen, this is what they want to discuss. You will have to validate it. Till that time, it is just an assumption. Right? So whenever the scenario says that somebody is complaining, somebody is concerned, somebody is asking you to do something, right? You will not submit yourself and say, okay, you are the sponsor, whatever you say, we'll do it. We cannot say that, right? We are project managers. We'll say, okay, whatever you're asking, I will check whether it is applicable in my project or not, whether it is helpful in my project or not. Whatever you are complaining, I'll validate whether that problem really exists or not. And then I would take an action. Okay. So there would be questions where they'll give you scenarios and they'll ask you, they can ask you anything after that. Okay. How would you solve this problem? Or there could be some very specific questions also. How would you prevent this? How would you solve this? What should the project manager do? Ultimately, if the scenario is only opinion or observation or something which is not established yet, you will select that choice, which will say you are meeting to understand. You are meeting to validate the problem that yes, we have verified this problem does exist. And then you will take an action. Okay, so you will not take action on just because somebody is reporting something, somebody has given you something, somebody is informing something. You will first validate as a project manager and then decide what should be done. Right? Again, if you have any questions, you can always put on the comment box. Next, delivery approach definitely will be tested. They'll give you a scenario, right? And there could be three types of scenarios. One where things are clear or lot of documentation are needed, lot of regulation is to be done, lot of processing is to be done. In such cases, you select predictive approach. You can call it traditional approach. You select this approach. Things are clear, lot of documentation, large team size. If those things are in the scenario, you select traditional approach. Sometimes they will talk about changes, uncertainty, lack of clarity, right? That there could be a change in regulation, there could be a change in requirement, government is thinking something, management is thinking something, customer is thinking about certain changes. These are your changes, these are your uncertainties, right? So those scenarios, you would select adaptive approach or agile approach, right? Requirements are clear, lot of processes, lot of documentation, large team size, regulations, processes are required, checkpoints are required. Go for traditional predictive approach. Lot of changes, uncertainty, no, nothing is clear, or it is not clear, or it is expected it will change. Go for agile approach. And third is your hybrid. In your scenario, there would be two parts mentioned. One part will talk about clear requirement. Another part will talk about uncertainty. In such cases, select hybrid approach. Right? Many a times in the option, they will not mention hybrid approach. They will just explain. And in the explanation, they will say that whatever is clear, run it through predictive approach. Whatever is uncertain, run it through agile approach. And you have to be very careful about it because the wrong option would say that whatever is clear, run it through adaptive approach. Whatever is not clear, run it through predictive. So they just interchange it. Just to confuse you during the pressure of the exam, you may select one choice. Right? So this is what hybrid is. The ultimate point is that whenever things are clear, go for predictive approach. Whenever things are unclear, go for agile or adaptive approach. If in the same project something is clear, something is not clear, whatever is clear, run it through predictive approaches. Whatever is not clear, run it through agile approaches and call it hybrid. Hybrid is not a separate approach. The reason I'm highlighting this, emphasizing this, is because I have seen such type of discussions around. Tell me what happens in hybrid approach. I don't know. Right? Hybrid is a mix of traditional and agile. So if in my project something is clear, I will use predictive knowledge to apply that. If something is not clear, I'll use adaptive knowledge to work on that. Right? That is my preferable thing, and that is what hybrid approach is. And this is a very, very important point because that's what PMI wants you to become. Forget about what to answer in the exam. That's how they want project managers to be, or that's what they have seen that the project managers are like. Right? They want to prepare you through PMP certification exam to deal with any kind of project. Right? So you don't have to study for the exam. Okay, this is predictive, this is agile. Don't wear that horse's blinder and say, okay, I'll focus only on this. It should be completely open. I will assess the information in the project. Then I will decide whether I should apply this approach or that approach, this methodology, that methodology, this framework, that framework. That's what PMI is preparing you for. That's what I was emphasizing it. And ultimately, they want you to be a leader who leads things, not a follower who follows a framework. Okay, I will see a framework and will follow it. I'll look at the list of processes and I'll follow it. That's a follower. Leader is I will assess the project. I will check what are the options available with me. And then using my skill, I will decide which approach should I select. Right? So I think around 10 to 15 questions will definitely in different forms test you on delivery approach itself. Right? Another important thing, very, very important thing is value delivery because that's where the project management is shifting. Earlier, the focus was on three things: scope, schedule, cost, and then they added quality. Right? And everybody was focused, okay, have we delivered on time? Have we delivered everything? Is it on budget? Have we delivered the quality? Yes, we have done a good job, which is fine. There's nothing wrong in that. But now, considering the environment in which we are working, this is not enough. As a product manager, you are also responsible for ensuring that whatever you are delivering is also beneficial. So they will test you that in the exam, right? I'll give you a trick. If you call it a trick, if you call it a tip from my side on the exam, any option out of four choices, if you are confused, just check which one is delivering value to the organization, to the project, to the customer. Whatever is more beneficial, that will always be the correct choice. Right? Because ultimately you have to think about value. You have to think about the outcome. You have to think about what you are delivering in the project. Right? This is one of the reason, although I'm talking about process domain, but this is one of the reasons why business domain share increased from 8% to 26%. If you don't know this, exam was changed recently. From 9th July onward, there's a new exam. And the new exam says the business environment domain, which was only 8%, which was 14 questions, will now be 26%, which is around 43 questions. Or sorry, or more. 45, 46, whatever it is. But it is 26% questions. So they have increased it. Why? Because project manager's role has expanded from focusing only on execution to how this execution will impact my organization, connecting your execution work to business. Right? So a lot of questions will be there from value delivery as well. One more thing that will be tested would be on lessons learned. Not exactly by telling you that, okay, select a lessons learned, but the idea behind it. What is the idea behind lessons learned? We will start with what we have. That's the idea. I am estimating in the project. I don't know how much time it will take. I look at my previous project. I'll see how much time we took last time for a similar activity. I'll use that. Okay. I don't know how many people would be needed. Previous project. I don't know what type of risks might happen, what type of problems might happen. Previous project. Right. So this idea is that we will start with whatever knowledge we have, tells us that we should also maintain that knowledge. Right? So this is what will be tested. There will be many questions in the exam where they would test you your understanding that do you think about future also, or do you focus on just one thing and do it? which is to say that if something has happened, they'll ask you a question. There will be some option that will talk about documenting it, maintaining the version of it, maintaining the configuration of it, configuration control, configuration system, version control, configuration management system, PMIS, which is project management information system. Do you maintain the knowledge or not? Do you maintain the documents or not? Do you maintain the artifacts or not? These will also be tested in the exam. So there will be some scenarios which will test you on these things, and that's what you can use to complete this, right? So these are the questions that will be tested on the process domain. You should know all these types. You should practice 10, 20 questions from all these types. If you go for our mock exams, we have ensured that in the process domain, different tasks are added. All those tasks will contain these different type of questions so that you have a good practice of what is going right and what is going wrong. Okay. Practice makes a man perfect. Practice makes a project manager perfect. Practice makes everybody perfect, right? So practice not too much, but right kind of practice, right? Do 10 questions only. But if you are spending 10 minutes solving that 10 question, then try to spend 15 to 20 minutes just reviewing that question, understanding the explanation, understanding the twist and turn, trying to correlate with these. What is it that they have asked? And how will I answer it better in next time? If you do that, you will not need to solve 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 questions. Right? What is needed is do 10 questions, and the next set of 10, when you do it better. Improve. Don't just keep solving same questions. I've seen a lot of people and I've talked to them and I've tried to inform them. Some have understood, some might not have understood. But the point is that you go to YouTube, you go to LinkedIn, you join this group, you join that group, and you will have so many things to do. Right? And what will happen is you'll keep solving questions. You'll solve 700, 800, and you'll feel, you will believe that, okay, I'm working hard. I'm solving a lot of questions. But just understand, if you solve 100 questions of exactly same type, just this one, are you prepared for the exam? If you solve 1,000 questions also, and which is only between these two, have you prepared for the exam? No. Right? Exam, you will prepare for it when there is a variety. Right? And you will say, okay, I was solving first and next type of question. I was solving best type of question. They were asking about scope. They were asking about schedule. They were asking about risk. They were asking about finance, which means there was variety. No. Right? You may fall into the trap where you would feel that you are working hard, but you may not be making progress. Right? So progress should happen on definitely on scope, schedule, at task level. For sure. It should also happen at this level where you see different varieties of question. Okay, that's what will build that 360-degree preparation for you. Okay, so what I'm trying to suggest here is select one training provider, select one training institute, do your research and then select, of course. Right? Select one, trust them, and ensure that they provide you the resources. They should provide you the video, they should provide you the test, they should provide you the mock exams at the bare minimum. They should provide you the explanation, they should provide you the analytics, and they should provide you some discussions around that. Right? If that is there, your job is done. After that, nothing else is needed. But just be careful that you're working hard, but not making progress. Right? So ultimately, I would leave you all with one guidance from my side. It should not happen that we are running on a treadmill. We are working very hard, we are running, but we are not reaching anywhere. Right? That might happen if you randomly select questions from here and then and say that, okay, I have done a progress, I have made a progress. Right? Do all those 26 tasks and ensure that when you are doing these tasks, you have these different type of questions also that you are answering. Okay. As such, I think whatever we have discussed in the last 45 minutes, okay, this would help you in building that mindset. And then when you practice those questions, when you go and attempt the exam, it will help you in the exam. Right? Next video would be on business environment, where we'll discuss what is tested on the business environment. This PDF, by the way, and the details of this. Okay, whatever I have discussed, the detail of it, what are the typical scenarios that might be asked, everything is attached on the description box of this video. Okay, so you may be able to download this. If you are not able to download, just comment or send me an email. on contact@edzest.org. We'll send you the PDF. But you should be able to download. I've checked it. You are able to download, right? So contact@Edzest. This is the Edzest, right? So you can send me an email. You can reach me on WhatsApp if you have the number, or you can download it from the description box. But do download this. Take a print of it. Keep it wherever you are studying. Just cross check. Spend more time thinking. Spend more time analyzing. Spend more time preparing yourself in a way that, okay, if this changes, what will I do? The more you think, the better you'll be prepared. That's what the test is all about. Study once is fine. Questions and repetitive test of your skills is more important. Okay. So next Tuesday, same time, we'll be talking about business environment domain, and we'll try to meet every Tuesday on this channel, where we'll discuss different things, different ways in which you can improve your score in PMP certification exam. Any questions, anyone? Please help to share the link for the people domain mindset. I'll do that. It shows access needed. Access was already available. Okay, I'll check for it, and I'll activate it. Otherwise, as I said, if you can just send me an email, or I'll send it directly to you. Any questions? Anything else? Anyone before we go? So the PDF will have all the details, different type of scenarios, how to answer that question. The complete mindset would be there. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. And I will make that accessible so that you are able to download the PDF. I'll see you on the business environment domain mindset next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. India time, which is GMT plus 5:30. Thank you so much.